run number on the week.
This Wednesday, October 15th edition of the Lunch Break here on KDOS AM 1060. Kayla Mortellaro filling in for Chris Schubert, who's continuing to enjoy his honeymoon. He'll be back with you on Monday. Evan behind the glass, making sure that you can hear and see us on the KDOS AM 1060 YouTube channel, as well as with the KDOS 1060 app. We'll set the scene here for today's program. We'll have a college football discussion with Doug Farmer from Covers.com around 11:15, 11:20 or so. At least here locally, you had the news that Sam Levitt did, in fact, practice yesterday. Not really entirely sure what that means as of just yet because, we'll find out how that injury is progressing for him and if he'll be available on Saturday. We'll have buy or sell segment around 11:45, and then John McKechnie from RotoWire.com set to help us with our fantasy football team around 12:15 or so today. But we first got to get things started here with the action that took place in Milwaukee last night, where the Dodgers went and topped the Brewers 5-1 to take that 2-0 series lead. And there's a lot of different directions to go with this particular game, but we'll start with the pitching performance from Yamamoto. He pitched a complete game. Yeah, that's right. A complete game of 111 pitches, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts. And at first, the start of Yamamoto here, I thought, okay, here we go. The Brewers are going to be able to get to the starting pitching because it was the first pitch, first swing. Jackson Chourio hits it out of the ballpark for the Brewers to take that early 1-0 lead. But Yamamoto, he was great. He settled right in and just had continual dominant stuff and ended up pitching the complete 9 innings. Yamamoto's complete game was the first postseason game that was a complete game in 8 years. The last time that happened was Justin Verlander on the mound, where he tossed a 5-hitter with 13 strikeouts for the Astros in a win over the Yankees in Game 2 of the 2017 ALCS. And just coincidentally, it happened to be on October 14th of 2017. So that was 8 years exactly to the day. But as I mentioned, that starting pitching for the Dodgers, it has just been so dominant. They have allowed just 5 hits in 2 games between Snell and Yamamoto. Dodgers' first 2 pitchers went at least 8 innings for the first time since 2010, when their World Series matchup with Madison Bumgarner and Tim Lincecum doing that. So this Dodgers starting pitching, though, has been incredibly dominant, silencing the Brewers' bats. Conversely here in the pitching matchup, you needed innings. You needed Freddie Peralta to chew up innings for you in a productive manner. He ended up going 5 2/3, giving up 5 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk, and 2 home runs with 4 strikeouts. The bullpen, though, for the Brewers, as I mentioned, Peralta probably needed to go deeper, probably needed to have a little bit more dominant stuff as well, just because the Brewers, in terms of what they're asking their pitching staff to do with volume, high leverage innings, night after night so far in this series, and they're not getting that run support. So advantage right now in the direction of the pitching matchup. From your standpoint, though, Evan, seeing Yamamoto go out there, complete game, and just be as dominant as he was after that first swing of the night, what was your immediate thoughts about seeing him go out there and just pitch like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what the Dodgers have been relying on. That's why they're here. That's why they're up 2-0 in the National League Championship Series. The starting pitching has been as dominant gets for a team I've seen this deep in the playoffs, and really doesn't feel like they've had a bad start yet, right? Like, you look at it, you're like, what is the worst start in there? It's probably Ohtani's in Game 1, and he gave up 3 runs and you got 6 innings, right? So where is the actual bad start? Yamamoto was dominant last night, and it's the reason he will finish in the conversation of the Cy Young in the National League. And unfortunately, Skeens was just the best pitcher I've ever seen. But no, there's a reason he's in that conversation, and last night he proved it. And I think there's a little bit of immediate concern when you see Churio take him deep to start the game, and you're like, okay, maybe the Brewers are going to answer this bell a little, and just dominant. From that point on, just dominant, and he was super efficient. I mean, in that 8th inning, you're, still in a tighter game, right? You're still kind of in striking distance if you're the Brewers and trying to get him out, trying to get to the Dodger bullpen. But how are you going to get to the Dodger bullpen, or how are you going to continue to score runs off the weak point of this team if you can't even get there? And these guys are going to come off like a week off by the time they had the break, and then they only threw 1 inning in game 1. Then they have an off day today after not throwing an inning last night. I mean, the Dodger bullpen's going to have, I legit think, 5 days off other than that 1 inning. So this is a scenario where Yamamoto, Blake Snell have set this team up to what feels like could be a sweep. And that's crazy considering how good the Brewers have been. And if you ask me, I think the Brewers will end up getting one. But, I mean, they're in serious danger of not coming home again.
No, that's for sure, because the Dodgers went on the road, had 2 dominant pitching performances. Like, the Brewers weren't even able at this point. Like, sometimes, it doesn't result in a run. It doesn't result in an RBI. But if you can put together an at-bat that forces the pitcher to really be taxed, whether you can put together, like a 9-pitch at bat or something, and you can kind of string some of those together, you chase the pitcher maybe a little bit earlier than you want. And that's the recipe for the Brewers in this series, because you got to get to the bullpen, and they just haven't done that, with Blake Snell being able to go 8 innings and Yamamoto going 9 innings last night. Conversely, for the bats of the Dodgers, they got things started. You had touched on it, that Teoscar Hernandez has kind of been the most consistent person being able to do things offensively for the Dodgers. He got it all started in the top of the 2nd with a solo home run. But then you had Kike Hernandez, who had a really good at bat. Him ended up coming home on a Padres double there. And then Max Muncy getting his revenge on the wall with a straightaway center shot for 412 feet home run in the 6th. And Max now has the Dodgers record of the most postseason home runs hit with 14. He was previously sharing that with Corey Seager and Justin Turner. Ohtani, though, he's been ice cold, and he did get a key RBI. So maybe that's something for him to be able to work through. That in a situation like that, he was able to come through, put together a good at-bat, hit that key RBI single to bring home Kike Hernandez. And from a bottom-of-the-lineup standpoint, Tommy Edman as well as Kike Hernandez had really solid nights.
Yeah, and I think to see Ohtani get that hit, it's 1 for 5, I get it. But to see him get that hit, to know that it's not an 0 for anymore, that gives you some confidence as, okay, maybe we can build on this. And kind of a lineup shakeup last night that had me a little confused. Like, for Teoscar to hit in the 8 hole is a crazy conversation. I mean, this is a guy.
He was actually in the he was in the 5th hole.
5th?
Kike Hernandez was in the 8th hole, but it still was a lineup shakeup, to your point here, because Teoscar game 1 was hitting 3, now he's hitting 5.
Yeah, and just a lineup shakeup, and that's the righty-lefty conversation, right? Mm-hmm. And so he still comes up against right-handed pitching. I mean, he's been their most consistent bat, and you brought up Kike Hernandez. Like, at some point, I don't want to say Kike Hernandez in the regular season is a average to below average baseball player. Like, at the plate, he's efficient in the field. He can play a lot of different positions for you. But over the course of his career, we are talking about a guy who has a career OPS of 700, right? Like, he's just a below average baseball player in the regular season. He has a postseason OPS of almost 900. Right, like, he continually comes up, whether he's a Dodger or somewhere else. I mean, you talk about the little run he had as a Red Sox was unbelievable. But again, last night with a big RBI, he had a big RBI in the division series. The guy is just clutch when it comes to October.
You talk about Kike Hernandez being that type of player. You know exactly who he reminds me of, if we were to make a football comparison, is Julian Edelman.
Yeah.
is that you count on him in certain circumstances and he just delivers, comes through time in and time again. But Julian's not putting up massive numbers in the regular season, but come playoff time, he's the man. He's making those plays. He's doing the little things that need to be done. And that's exactly what, Kike Hernandez does in a Dodgers uniform in the playoffs. And he did it once again last night for them.
And the advantage for Julian was he had Tom Brady back there throwing him the ball, right? Like, so for a guy like for Kike, it's just been so impressive to kind of see when the lights get brighter, he turns it on a little, because I mean this every year. Like, he hit, 205 this year? Like, I mean, we're a guy who flirted with the Mendoza line all year long has been one of their bigger productive bats at the bottom of the lineup, in a Dodgers lineup that at times has fallen silent at the top. So they've needed the back end of that lineup. I mean, he got him started in game 1 of the division series, kind of broke that game open, was the one to get to Christopher Sanchez. Did it again in game 4 there. And last night, again, kind of breaks it open and takes the lead. So, yeah, I just, Kike Hernandez has kind of been a revelation for them in October, especially when their lineup has fallen cold.
Oh, absolutely. And so the Dodgers, though, take that key 2-0 lead on the road, now going home to try to get this one closed out. We can certainly get into more about that, whether or not we think it's going to be a sweep or not. I'm really hopeful not. I want some playoff baseball here to be extended. But the fact that the Dodgers and the Mariners both took 2-0 leads on the road. This is the first time that this has happened since 1970. And as I mentioned yesterday, only 3 times, though, that a team has won the first 2 games on the road ended up losing the series entirely. Those teams were the 1985 World Series Royals against the Cardinals, 1986 World Series with the Mets against the Red Sox, and the 1996 World Series with the Yankees against the Braves. The Dodgers, though, and the Brewers are off today as they are headed to LA. We know for sure tomorrow is going to be a Tyler Glasnow start. Not sure yet what the Brewers are going to do, but likely trying to piece some things together. Maybe another Ashby start, see how many innings he can go and piece things together from there. As it is, though, game 3 today in Seattle for the Blue Jays and the Mariners. You have the Blue Jays sending Shane Bieber to the mound, who is 0-0, 6.75 ERA, 2 strikeouts in the playoffs. And for the Mariners, it's going to be George Kirby, who's 0-0, 2.70 ERA, and 14 strikeouts in the playoffs as well. For me, this series, though, comes down to the Blue Jays and what they haven't been able to do offensively. The Mariners pitchers have been very, very good. But from a hitting standpoint, they're not able to also get those really quality at-bats where you're kind of able to push up the pitch counts, where you're able to work a count, where you're able to chase a pitcher early and kind of get then some breakthrough key hits. It's not happening for the Blue Jays, at least in those first 2 games at home. In fact, the Blue Jays were just 1 for 28 with 3 walks following that second inning in game 2. 1 for 28 is not going to get it done, especially when you have guys like Vlad Guerrero, who are 0 for 7 so far in this series, coming off of a 9 for 17 3-home run performance against the Yankees. And for the Blue Jays, Nathan Lukes and George Springer are the only Blue Jays that have multiple hits in this series so far.
Yeah, that's kind of been the surprising part of this series, is the bats for the Blue Jays have fallen asleep. Like, they were so dominant against New York, and I understand that the pitching in Seattle is far better. I'm not saying anything different than that, but the bats have completely fallen asleep if you are a Toronto Blue Jays fan. And it's sad to see that the top of the lineup that dominated the Yankees and was the reason you got past the division series, maybe the reason you're down 0-2 to this point. I thought that it was going to be tough for Seattle to keep up with the pace of scoring that Toronto was going to put. It seems to be the other way, where Toronto's bats have fallen asleep and Seattle has woken up after an emotional game, and the pitching continues to be great. In the next 2 games, you go back to Seattle, and Toronto is we talked about it kind of before the show. Like, they're going to go to some older pitchers here, some guys that have been there, but some older pitchers for the next two in must-win situations.
Yeah, that's right. So Shane Bieber is going for the Blue Jays, and then in Game 4, at least how it is slated right now, is going to be a Max Scherzer start. So both these guys, former Cy Young winners, both these guys have been here in big moments. And yes, they don't have their youthful abilities, if you will, but they have the savvy. They have that veteran presence to just kind of be able to work their way through something and get you to an opportunity to send this thing back to Toronto, tie the series up 2-2. You're going to be relying on, I think, in a way, why you brought them in the first place.
Certainly. This is the exact scenario that you bring in a Shane Bieber at the deadline or a Max Scherzer in the offseason. I knew they were too old when you go out and sign them, and to give you 200 plus innings and do all these things, and Bieber coming off the injury, they don't have that in them. But can I get one? Right? Like that's the question tonight. Can I get one great start from Shane Bieber? And he's already given you a few. So can he come out and be the old dominant self, the guy who was in the conversation for Cy Young's multiple years in a row? And for Max Scherzer, give me something vintage, right? Like, he's a guy who's won a World Series, been in multiple across the Tigers, across the Nationals, playoff run with the Dodgers. Now he's a Blue Jay. So can he come back, give you one more performance tomorrow? And that's looking a day ahead, but it's today. You have to get to George Kirby. Kirby has been great for the Mariners all year long, especially in this playoffs. These bats need to wake up. Yeah. And for Toronto, they don't have many guys in this lineup that have faced George Kirby before. So I need, if I'm the Toronto, to score early, to get on him, try and get to that Mariners bullpen and really get them taxed, because that's the only way I'm going to score, is to get out early. You need to get up early if you can. That kind of helps Shane Bieber settle in a little bit as well and take the crowd out of this, because the crowd's going to be so excited. They got the CS there for them, the opportunity to go to a World Series for the first time in franchise history. So you need to do something special at the plate to really kind of start snowballing this in the direction and in your favor, if you will. And for the Mariners, you haven't won anything yet. So you got to keep the pedal to the metal as well for what you're doing. It's been impressive so far that you were able to come out of that 15-inning game, and you thought everyone was going to maybe be a little bit sluggish to start the series, and you weren't. You are incredible. The bats were alive. The pitching was great. So now you're back to Seattle here, and you got to find a way to keep that momentum going, because the series is not over just yet. But first pitch tonight is 5:08 p.m. on FS1. We'll step aside here on the lunch break. We'll make room for some college football talk, as we'll be joined by Doug Farmer of Covers.com. It is the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060.
KDUS AM 1060 is your home for the Jim Rome Show.
Even if Troy Aikman pretty much said the NFL product sucked last night, he's not wrong. I thought this was supposed to be a brand new Jets. They're more dysfunctional and more undisciplined than ever. You know what would actually be brand new for the Jets? A new head coach starting 0-5. That has never happened, but it looks like there's a very good chance it's about to happen.
The Jim Rome Show, 1 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Global Credit Union, how can I help you?
It's one of those voice prompts.
Representative! Good morning. How can I help?
Wait, is this a real person?
It's 2 a.m.
We're here to help members 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Impossible.
At Global, possible. Learn more at globalcu.org. Global Credit Union, your world of financial possibilities.
Come visit the all-new Wecopa Casino Resort, formerly Fort McDowell Casino. Whether you're visiting for slots, table games, the Valley's favorite bingo hall, golf, or food, our new smoke-free casino resort is the place to be. Enjoy a fine dining experience like no other at Ember, or go for the lively crowd at WKP Sportsbook and Bar. Wecopa offers 2 top 10 golf courses in the state, and the resort with heated pools and cabanas is the perfect place to relax. Come experience Wecopa Casino Resort today. At Wecopa, we have the best of it all.
Judas Priest and Alice Cooper.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
The metal gods, Judas Priest. The godfather of shock rock, Alice Cooper. October 22nd, Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater with special guest, Corrosion of Conformity. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Presented by 100.7 KSLX, part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
Want something fast and fresh for lunch? Try the Peter Piper Pizza all-you-can-eat weekday lunch buffet. Available from 11 to 2 every Monday through Friday, Peter Piper Pizza's lunch buffet is loaded with delicious pizza, fresh chopped salad, garlic cheese bread, and our famous cinnamon crunch dessert. Our dough is made from scratch every day and topped with real mozzarella cheese and the freshest ingredients. For the best all-you-can-eat pizza and salad lunch buffet in town, head to Peter Piper Pizza from 11 to 2 every Monday through Friday. At Peter Piper Pizza, the fun is baked in.
Jim Rome here with your Rome Report. Let me say right off the top, congrats to the Atlanta Falcons for a quality win over the Bills. They needed that. And my man Raheem Morris needed that. Love to see it. Now that I got that out of the way, the heck is wrong with Buffalo? Here's a better question. What's right with the Bills? As far as I can tell, almost nothing. They're not doing anything well in all 3 phases. I haven't seen them look this ordinary in, well, years. They are way more pretender than contender. You could see it in Josh Allen's face last night. He looked like anything but the MVP. Not that it's his fault, not that he's getting any help from anybody. Yes, they started the year by winning 4 in a row, but look at the absolute scrubs they got over on. A combined 3-21. And their 2 losses were to teams with winning records. Never mind being the team to beat in the AFC, they may not even be the team to beat in their own division. Better coach them up, Sean McDermott. It's now or never for you in Buffalo, my dude. I'm Jim Rome. Remember, you can follow me on Instagram at Jim Rome.
O'Reilly.
Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. The service is free and provides a report with solutions verified by ASE-certified master technicians. And if you need help, we could recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Also that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Join in on the Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Beerstein.
For everyone out there, Jacoby Brissett is not the answer because he's had games like that before where he's shown you that he could be a very capable quarterback. He's never been able to do it for a season and lead a team to any meaningful playoffs. So while it looked good, Cardinal fans, it's still not the answer. It just shows you how good it could be maybe if Kyler Murray could play better or just different play calls, I guess, can be made.
Live weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Welcome back to the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. As always, follow along on our YouTube channel, KDUS AM 1060, as well as with the KDUS 1060 app. We're popping on out to the hotline, though, as we're joined by Doug Farmer of Covers.com to have a college football conversation. Doug, appreciate the time on the program. How are you today?
Doing pretty well. Appreciate y'all having me on. It's going to be a great week for college football.
I'd love to hear that. Let's first start, though, I guess, with the big news surrounding college football from the Penn State side of things and firing James Franklin. Certainly, you can't argue with the fact that he's done a really nice job getting the program to big games, but the record once he's in those big games hasn't gone his way. And, of course, this year had plenty of high expectations, but 3 early losses, one to a previously winless UCLA team last Saturday to Northwestern. Was this an overreaction by Penn State or something that needed to come regardless of the $50 million price tag associated with the buyout?
The key thing to recognize about that buyout is it's not all due right now. There is time to pay it off, and that's not always the case with these massive buyouts. So this one, while, look, I'm not going to sit here and say $49 million or however much it was, it's not a ton of money. Please, somebody give me that kind of money. Over a number of years makes it more palatable for the Nittany Lions boosters. Was this an overreaction? It was inevitable. After a 3-game losing streak, when you put all your chips in the middle for this season, you really believe this was a national title caliber team to fall this embarrassingly flat? It was inevitable this offseason. Doing it during the season is a bit of a surprise. It really underscores the cost that the programs need to avoid in terms of apathy. They could not have this get more ugly in front of their fans and in front of recruits. The name of the game is still recruiting in college football. And if Penn State continued to struggle under James Franklin, how are they going to spin this forward to next year's recruiting class? An overreaction, perhaps, to do it during the season, an overreaction, but it also underscores and emphasizes what this sport is still all about.
When it comes to Penn State moving forward, though, who would you like to see take the reins in leading them forward?
Who would I like to see? Oh, hey, I'm in the content business. Let's have Brian Kelly move from LSU to Penn State and have more drama in this world. No, who is more likely? You know they have to go after Kurt Cignetti. I hope Indiana holds on to him because it's one of the best stories in college football these days, and that a growing power in the Midwest would only help the sport as a whole. I think they need to look at Jed Fish out in Washington. I think that's kind of a name that's not being appreciated enough in this conversation. Jed Fish has done very good things, and if this Washington team has the weekend right now that I think it could, I think he's a name that they should consider that could help stabilize and yield some big game results that they've been lacking.
Well, let's jump to Kurt Cignetti with Indiana football going into Autzen Stadium, beating Oregon. How good is this Indiana football program, and just why are they having the success that they are?
Indiana is win games in December levels of good, and there are only so many teams you can say that about. Indiana they have the 4th shortest odds to win the national championship kind of good. And that's the names up there. Ohio State, Alabama, Miami, Georgia. Those are blue bloods. Indiana has cracked a rare stratosphere. How are they doing it? A lot of it has to just be straight up traced to Kurt Cignetti and this offensive design. Knowing and evaluating quarterbacks as well as he does is what has unlocked so much potential for this program. Fernando Mendoza was not considered the single best quarterback in this cycle. Among the best, sure, but in the transfer cycle, there were other names. But to pinpoint him, bring him in, knowing that he would mesh with this offense, this design, that is a level of evaluation that not many coaches have.
Doug Farmer, Covers.com, chatting college football here on KDOS AM 1060. So Alabama and Tennessee, it's always a fun matchup. And Saturday it's going to be the 11th ranked Tennessee Volunteers going to 6th ranked Alabama. Ty Simpson is playing at a high level for Bama. Meanwhile, the Volunteers, though, haven't won in Bama since 2003. So what has to happen for Tennessee to pull off this upset?
Find an entirely new defense. Probably need 11 different defenders. This Tennessee defense was very good last year. Josh Heupel had built a full roster. It looked the part, and now it's terrible. All 6 Tennessee opponents have gone over their team totals this season by an average of more than a touchdown. You are in a heap of trouble when your defense is that porous, and you're now about to face this Alabama offense. Ty Simpson, arguably the most accurate quarterback in the country when you factor in the touch, the catchability of his passes. Is going to be miserable for Tennessee's defense. What would it take? I really think it might take an entirely different defense.
So are you taking the over in this game?
More than anything, I'm taking the Alabama team total over. You can get that around 5 touchdowns. Try to get under 35 if you can. And I'm taking Alabama to cover the spread. Their offense is too efficient. for Tennessee to keep up and keep this in single digits.
Number 5, Ole Miss is going to number 9, Georgia. Ole Miss's quarterback Trinidad Chambliss has been impressive with 3 straight 300-yard passing games and at least 50 yards rushing on the ground. Last week he threw for 252 yards and 2 touchdowns. But is he going to start? Or now with Austin Simmons coming back healthy?
I expect Chambliss to start. This little bit of a gambit by Lane Kiffin is fun and all. Chambliss will start. Simmons is not going to be on the bench all season. He will see action. But in this situation, look for Trinidad Chambliss and look for early success. Something about Georgia's defense is not working well out of the gates this season. In their 4 SEC games, they gave up 10 points in the first half to Auburn, then none in the second half. 7 points Kentucky in the first half, then none until the final 2 minutes, garbage time touchdown in the blowout. 24 points to Alabama in the first half, then none in the second half. 21 points to Tennessee in the first quarter, then 17 across the final 3 quarters. Something about Georgia's game planning is not working defensively, but then there are magnificent adjustments. Mississippi should come out hot. I hit the team total over, first half over, 10.5. Focusing on that first half for Mississippi should be the key. Can Lane Kiffin put up enough points to hold off in the second half? That will be the question.
You know, every year with a Lane Kiffin team, no matter where he's been, they get to a certain point and you think that they're going to break through and take it to that next level. Is this the year that happens for Ole Miss?
No, and I'm going to say that flatly, and I know it's anticlimactic to say it that simple, but to me, this Mississippi roster is immensely flawed. Their hopes this year are based on schedule. They should make the playoffs simply because their schedule is set up well. With these conferences as egregiously large as they are, we have unbalanced schedules, and Mississippi benefits from that this season. But put them in the playoff, you're going to see them exposed once again. This roster is not as good as last year's Mississippi roster. This is not Lane Kiffin's best team in Oxford, and it's going to be a bit of a disappointment. Shoot, you want to have some fun, send him to Penn State.
Doug Farmer, Covers.com, chatting college football here on KDUS AM 1060 in the lunch break. So taking things here locally for ASU football, they have a big game hosting number 7 Texas Tech. The Sun Devils are hopeful that quarterback Sam Leavitt can return to play. He was out there practicing yesterday. In what capacity, not entirely sure yet. But what can you expect, or what can the Sun Devils expect from Texas Tech?
You can expect one of the absolute best teams in the country. Texas Tech focused on the right things this offseason in the transfer portal. The best thing you can do is go find the best defensive ends on the market, and that is what the Red Raiders did. That is why they are genuinely a national title contender. I know their odds are still deflated because they've got to get out of the Big 12, and that is difficult. But you look at that defense, it is a menace, absolutely miserable to go against. And if Sam Leavitt is limited at all, he was out at practice today with no tape on his foot. It looks pretty promising. If he's limited at all, life is going to get very difficult against one of the best defenses in the country, arguably the best defense in the country.
So let's say Sam Leavitt is healthy, ready to go, and not limited. Can the Sun Devils hang in this game?
They need to figure out late downs on offense. That has been the surprise failure for them this season. And sure, we knew this offense was going to take a step back. We knew Cam Scatterbo was a huge help. We did not necessarily measure or quantify, understand his need on 3rd and 4th downs. Arizona State ranks number 97 in the country in converting late downs this season. You need to succeed there to have a chance at hanging against Texas Tech. And that is why I am skeptical Arizona State can. They're going to get in those late down situations too often. And as those fail, Texas Tech's going to get the ball back and then just eat the game up.
A Big 12 game that does have some implications for Sun Devils fans. Number 23, Utah, facing off against number 15, BYU. We saw what Utah did on the ground against ASU. So what has to be the keys to success with BYU for this game?
One, embrace the rivalry. I'd love to sit here and say, oh, Utah should easily win this game. Utah is far the better team. Utah has better offensive and defensive lines. And all those things are true. But this is a rivalry game, and you never quite know what's going to happen in games that are colloquially referred to as wars. BYU has that home field. That crowd hates Utah. This could get interesting solely because things get weird in college football rivalries, which is why we love this sport. Compared to the NFL, where there's no such rivalry anywhere close to the BYU-Utah game. This is why we so indulge in it. If BYU pulls this off, it has to make Utah nervous. It has to make Utah worry late. If this game gets late, then I will start to defer to the home team. Otherwise, Utah should win this. Utah has the better offensive defensive lines. I'm uncomfortable leaning on anybody in a game with the emotions that these ones have.
We've talked about a few of your plays in some of the games coming up this weekend. Anything else that you really love for this weekend that's jumping out to you?
I don't understand how Ohio State is favored by fewer than 4 touchdowns at Wisconsin. Sure, they're going to Camp Randall. Camp Randall right now will be cheering for Ohio State. Camp Randall doesn't want Luke Fickell around anymore. Wisconsin's team total is set at 7.5, heavily juiced to the under. That is how bad things have gotten for Luke Fickell and this Badgers team. I do not comprehend. We're just saying that Ohio State's going to show mercy for a former Buckeye, assistant coach, interim head coach, and player in Luke Fickell. Sure, they'll show mercy and win by only 35. I do not understand for a moment how that spread is within 4 touchdowns. Iowa just beat Wisconsin 37-0, and every aspect of Ohio State is better than every aspect of Iowa.
Doug, this has been a lot of fun. Appreciate the time on the program and enjoy the games this Saturday.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Good luck to the Sun Devils this weekend. I don't like their chances.
Appreciate it, Doug. That's Doug Farmer, covers.com, as we were chatting about college football here. You know what's interesting is I had this argument with, well, not an argument. We were just discussing things. And the question was, would you prefer to be a fan of Indiana football or North Carolina football? Because who has the better legacy? UNC is in the ACC, Indiana being a part of the Big Ten. 2 of us were on the Indiana side. 1 was on the North Carolina side. And if you just take a look at this season in general, I'm sure more people are excited about Indiana football than what's happening over in North Carolina right now.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. And I think it'd be hard to argue and say that you would rather be a North Carolina fan. I mean, just 2 years ago, though, you look at Indiana was one of a few teams to never have a 10-win season. But Curt Cignetti has got in there. He's turned it around, and it's been an impressive 2-year run. But the question then comes into play of, is he going to take another job? And that's
more than likely. More than likely. Penn State's going to definitely be very, very interested in him. And then you're right. What happens to an Indiana program that hasn't had a ton of success, maybe fleeting, very fleeting success? We'll take a break here on the lunch break right here on KDOS AM 1060. And we'll get into some NFL discussion here next.
Ready to tackle each morning with the best sports information coming at you?
I'm going to take a logical approach.
Get that weekday mornings on KDUS AM 1060 from 6 to 9 a.m. with the Dan Patrick Show. Dan Patrick, the Danettes, sports icons, sports legends, celebrities, poll questions. The Dan Patrick Show has it all.
It's a crapshoot.
Be sure to lock your dials to AM 1060 or 100.7 HD2 from 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings just got better.
This story is about us.
Get ready to win in our $250,000 Ultimate Adventure Package giveaway at Aquarius in Edgewater in Laughlin, Nevada. Play your favorite slots to win a 2025 Chevy Silverado 2500, a Momentum toy hauler, and a Polaris Expedition side-by-side. We'll draw 10 winners every Saturday in October, plus 10 more in a last chance drawing on November 1st. Each winner scores $500 in cash and a key certificate for the grand prize drawing on November 1st, where one winner takes it all at Aquarius. See True Rewards for complete details.
Every day begins with the promise of something new, a new perspective, a fresh start. At Banner Health, right here, right now, we're pioneering new ways to treat cancer with our own immune systems. We're among the first to treat Parkinson's with the patient's own cells. And we're a world leader in artificial heart implantation, all while training over 1,300 doctors every year. Impressive, right? It's just another Banner day. Banner Health.
Hi, I'm Andrew the Homebuyer. Selling your house right now the traditional way isn't so easy. The average home is taking months to sell. Fortunately, I can help. I'll come to your home and give you a cash offer within minutes. Then we can close in under 5 days. And I'll make sure you get as much money for your house as possible. Call me, Andrew the Homebuyer, today, and let's get your home sold. Visit andrewthehomebuyer.com. That's andrewthehomebuyer.com.
A noisy garage door is a cry for help that often requires only simple maintenance. However, if left untreated, could lead to costly repairs. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello from A1 Garage Door Service. Don't wait until a simple garage door repair becomes a major problem. If your garage door is noisy, if bugs are getting in, or if it struggles to open, your garage door is in need of repair. From simple repairs to upgrades, it's A1 from day one. We fix garage doors fast and with quality parts designed to last a lifetime. Our springs, rollers, and openers are tested by running them up and down, open and closed all day, 24/7, so you can feel confident with every A1 garage door repair. Replacing the bottom rubber on your garage door can have a huge impact on the number of bugs you see in your garage and in your home. Keep those creepy crawlers outside by calling A1 Garage Door Service today and receive the best service, best parts, and best warranty in the industry.
A1Garage.com. A1 from day one.
Call today and take advantage of our $29.95 tune-up special.
We finally switched to T-Mobile because with them, we can be connected here and there.
Listos todos. Estas son las mañanitas.
Now we just need to harmonize.
Switch today. Get 4 Samsung Galaxy S25 phones with Galaxy AI. Plus, get 4 lines for just $25 per line. Visit a store, T-Mobile.com, or call 1-800-T-Mobile. 1-800-T-Mobile. For well-qualified customers with autopay plus taxes and fees and $35 per line connection charge. Minimum 4 lines on plan. Contact us if canceling lines. Plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. Visit T-Mobile.com.
James out west.
Mike Trout became the 59th player to hit his 400th home run. The home run record holder for the Angels. I was going to quiz you. Who do you think the number 2 is on the list for all-time home runs for the Anaheim Angels?
I would assume it's Shohei Ohtani.
Nope, Tim Salmon.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
299 for Tim Salmon. Mike Trout got 101 more than the next
Talk about
guy.
naming a random MLB player who had a really good career.
Yeah,
That's
dude,
wild.
I loved watching Tim Salmon, bro. I'm about to
299 home runs.
cut together some Tim Salmon highlights.
Every other Monday night from 6 to 7 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060.
Welcome back to the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. Kayla Mortellaro filling in for Chris Schubert, who's continuing to enjoy his honeymoon. Evan behind the glass. And I jumped a little ahead there in talking about NFL discussion. It's actually Wednesday, and we do the top 3. And I thought, inspired today by what's going on with Major League Baseball playoffs, what would be top 3 MLB playoff moments that we remember and that are kind of ingrained in our minds? So I will start with my number 3, and that is Curt Schilling's Game 6 bloody sock game. The Red Sox and the Yankees rivalries are always so intense. The Yankees up in that series, winning the first 3 games, but the Red Sox came back and won 4 straight, including that must-win Game 6 by Schelling, who underwent like a procedure to stitch some tendons back together, and the stitch had popped, and the sock was just getting bloodier and bloodier as he keeps going out there and battling. And that's a pretty impressive performance there to help lead your team to a win and ultimately winning the series.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of a classic MLB moment. There's probably 3 to 4 moments in that series that you could add, or just in that 3-year stretch of Yankees Red Sox, right? The Boone home run to send them to the World Series for the Yankees the year prior. And then the next year, Ortiz hits one to send him to Game 5. Then he fights one off into center to send him to Game 6. Then you get the bloody sock game. So a lot of moments in that series. I'm going to go with a different series, but a Game 6 moment as well. Kind of 2 moments. David Freese in Game 6 of the 2011 World Series. This is the greatest performance by a player I've ever seen. 2 outs in the 9th, down, and he triples off the wall in right field to tie the game and send it to extra innings. Just 2 innings later, the 11th, he comes up again, sends a home run into center field that ends up sending it to Game 7. The Cardinals go on to win the World Series. That is one of the best performances, and it's a baseball game that doesn't ever get talked about. it gets lost in the conversation of great all-time games. And the 2016 World Series is probably one of the greatest games ever played in Game 7. 2013 or 2011 Game 6, I encourage anybody to look it up.
Well, that's funny because that's my number 2, actually, was that David Freese play, because that's just remarkable. I mean, he hit a really well hit ball there that ended up being the triple. I do think that maybe the right fielder misplayed it just a touch, but regardless, a triple it is. They tie up the game, they go into extras, and then just how fitting that he ends up being the leadoff hitter in the 11th inning after they had also had runs scored previously in the 10th inning. So now it's 9-9 heading into that 11th inning, and he walks it off. So I guess it's back to you for your number 2.
My number 2, not one I was alive for, but Joe Carter's walk-off home run in Game 6 of the World Series against my team. No doubt, still had to take it. Not many walk-off home runs. Bill Mazeroski's just, it's in the 60s. I've never even seen it on video, actually, so I wasn't going to pick that. The Joe Carter one kind of lives in infamy for my childhood and kind of hearing about it growing up. And then to kind of see it on video, it's one of the more exciting plays in baseball history and certainly lives in the lore of playoff baseball.
So for me, my number 1 with growing up here in Arizona, it's Luis Gonzalez's looping walk-off single to win the World Series against the Yankees. You have it going up against Mariano Rivera, who is like the greatest closer of all time. And you have Mark Grace getting the single to get things started. Jay Bell hits a bunt, moves everyone over. And then Tony Womack is the one who hits the double to right field. And you just start believing that this is possible, that we could actually do this in a Game 7 and beat the Yankees and win the World Series. Craig Counsell gets hit by a pitch, and then you have Luis Gonzalez's single to win the World Series Game 7. So for me, that is my top Major League Baseball playoff memory, because 1, we actually had a championship come to Arizona, and 2, look, the 2001 season and everything that had transpired heading into that start of the World Series with it being postponed. You have all the feels with George Bush and him throwing out the first pitch in Yankee Stadium and everything like that to get the playoffs going and get the World Series going. There just was a lot that kind of encompasses that memory.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that is my number 1 too. It is a Game 7 walk-off against the greatest closer in the history of baseball. A little underrated moment in that whole thing is the Yankees' decision to bring the infield in. And Tim McCarver talks about it on the call. Honestly, it's awesome. But when you have a cutter guy like Mariano Rivera on a left-handed hitter, he keeps coming in, and it causes a lot of bloops. And sure enough, Luis Gonzalez fights one off into center field. Had Yankees been playing at normal depth, maybe they're able to get there. They don't, and the Diamondbacks win the World Series. I mean, it's one of the greatest moments. It's a Hall of Famer on Hall of Famer, one of the greatest closers, the greatest closer in the history of the game, trying to close out Game 7 of the World Series and can't get it done. I don't know how it's not number 1 on everybody's list.
I know, right? And previous to that, right, in the top of the 9th, you had Randy Johnson coming in to pitch and just mowing some guys down to even give yourself that opportunity to come in and get that victory. So that is the top 3 MLB playoff moments that live in our minds. On the other side of the break, though, we'll get into buy or sell to wrap up our number 1 of this Wednesday, October 15th edition of The Lunch Break.
On your ride home from work, join in on the Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Bierstein.
If we owned our own football team called the Angry Roosters, and we kept signing people to contracts, and they weren't honoring their contracts and kept demanding raises, at what point do we throw our hands up and just say no to everybody? We signed you to a contract. Play out your contract, and that's it. You earn a better contract on your next one, we'll pay you for that.
Live weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Meet Barkley. When Barkley smells gas, he leaves fast. When Barkley hears hissing coming from a gas appliance, he leaves fast. When Barkley sees dirt or water shooting from the ground, he leaves fast. Barkley then calls 911 and Southwest Gas from a safe location.
Did that dog just grab a phone and dial 911?
Gas lines can be buried anywhere, so remember to call 911 and Southwest Gas.
We believe everyone deserves access to fresh food. That's why the Kroger Company created the Zero Hunger, Zero Waste program to share fresh food with the people in our communities. Our program and foundations have donated 3 billion meals since 2017. That's nearly 10 meals for every person in the U.S. Together, we can do more for our neighbors. Just round up your purchase at checkout. Fries, fresh for everyone.
Come see us at Mark Mazda in Scottsdale, where year-end savings have arrived. If you've been waiting on interest rates to drop, now is the time. Right now, receive 1.9% financing for up to 60 months on the brand new 2025 Mazda CX-50.
And if you're thinking about selling or trading your current vehicle, please give us a call. Our data shows that 9 out of 10 times we offer more. Don't cost yourself $1,000 or more by not making that simple phone call.
The name to remember, Mark Mazda, Mark Mazda.
Upgrade your hunting arsenal with premium brands at great prices during the Shields Hunting Sale event happening now through October 19th. Scope out savings on your favorite brands in camo, rifles, ammunition, and so much more. Like $200 off the Sitka Fanatic jacket and up to $500 off the Leupold VX5 HD rifle scope. Join the community of hunters who trust Shields experts to outfit their adventures and get more bang for your buck now through October 19th at Shields.
The Varsity Sports Show with Vince D'Alessio is your hub for everything high school and college sports. Join Vince and friends as they give you the full picture on student athletes and where they're heading. Live interviews with coaches across the valley.
Asking some of the tough questions.
Varsity recaps and in-depth interviews with tomorrow's sports stars. The Varsity Sports Show with Vince D'Alessio. Live every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. Here on KTUS AM 1060 and on the KTUS 1060 app.
Wrapping up hour number 1 of the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. As always, you can follow along on our YouTube channel, KDUS AM 1060, as well as with the app, KDUS 1060. It's now that time, though, to get into it with a little buy or sell.
We got buy or sell right now. And we got 4 for you today, Kayla. Starting with Arizona State football. Sam Leavitt will play this week at home versus Texas Tech.
I'm going to buy it. I'm going to say he's going to be out there. I don't really quite understand and it was funny because Kenny Dillingham even kind of alluded to it, that there was like some gamesmanship on his own part to like not play Sam Leavitt against Utah. That seems quite wild. But if Sam Leavitt, who seemingly is practicing and looks like he's moving around all right, I think he's going to play. It's going to be a tough uphill battle against a number 7 team in Texas Tech, but he has to be out there for them to have a chance here.
The Chargers, all yellow jerseys they are wearing this week against the Colts, are the worst in the NFL.
There's some pretty bad ones, but I'm gonna buy that one too, because they kind of just look like a highlighter out there, right?
I encourage you, if you have not seen these, to look these up, because the 6-1 Colts. There's no way anybody in the NFL can wear these jerseys and win. I used to think that the Seattle lime greens were the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah,
these are worse.
So some of the ones like I think it used to be like the Thursday night contest.
Yes, the old Color Rush.
Yes. Oh, those were some brutal
jerseys. Those would get
jerseys.
really bad. Yeah, really, really bad. Some of them were cool, but some of them were so bad. One of the teams down 2-0 in the championship series will come back to win the series.
Ooh, to win the series, as this has only happened 3 times out of 27 times that road teams have taken a 2-0 series lead and come back to win the series. I'm going to have to sell that. I don't think that's happening. I do think that I don't think we're going to see sweeps. I think we're going to see some teams be able to get some wins. but I don't actually see a team being able to come back and win, especially if the Dodgers starting pitching stays this way and the Dodgers bats start to heat up. That's going to be a tough road ahead for the Brewers, who at this point in time are trying to figure out how to send some pitchers to the mound themselves.
Yeah, the Brewers are in a position where in 2 games, it feels like they've taxed their bullpen, and the Dodgers have used 4 total pitchers, right? So It is one of those things where they're in just a really bad position. They have the off day, which helps, but then you go to LA to play 3. It just doesn't feel like they're going to come home. In Toronto, what has led them and propelled them all year being the bats, non-existent.
And if we were going to say something, I don't want to put this out there and jinx it, but if it were to happen, it would be the Mariners series, right? Just because they're a team that has had so much go wrong in their time as a franchise.
It just feels like that organization would be the one to go up 2-0 and then blow it.
Yeah, it does. It does. But I don't want them coming back on me. I don't want Seattle fans coming back on me if that ends up happening. But that seems to be the one that it would.
The one thing I will say is just Seattle's pitching depth is so long. It feels like they are going to be a team that's just tough to come back on. Because if you were going to beat them, it was going to be with offense, and you just haven't been able to score. So interesting to see how those series shake out. I'm with you. I don't think it'll be 2 sweeps. I don't think we'll actually see a sweep at all, but I'm interested to see if either team can kind of make it competitive. Is it just going to be a 5-game series in both of these, or is either team going to bring it back home for a game 6 to try and force game 7 or something?
I would be so disappointed if we don't get a competitive series, because that's just what's so fun about playoff baseball is that you have so many different games within the games. You have the series, you have the matchups. It's so compelling. And when you have just such a 2-0 lead and this kind of extension like that, it's like, oh, come on, let's make this a series. Let's have some fun.
Our last one, Jackson Dart will end up winning the NFL's Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Ooh, well, he does have a little bit of a leg up with some of the others that have been injured at this point. I mean, Emeka Egbuka, though, started off to a really hot start. It'll depend upon if he can come back from his injury. So I guess I'm going to have to sell it for now until we kind of have an idea of how those injuries are going to shake out. Hour number 2 of the lunch break is up next here on this Wednesday, October 15th.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix. Win a brand new Toyota Tacoma when you support Arizona women. That's right. When you enter Fresh Start's Toyota raffle, your ticket purchase provides women access to comprehensive resources on the path to success. It gives you a chance to take home a Tacoma SR5 double cab. Thanks to Valley Toyota dealers, all proceeds go directly to helping the women Fresh Start serves. Enter until November 21st. One ticket is $100, 3 for $250. Limited to 1,500 entries. Open to Arizona residents 21 and over. Visit freshstartwomen.org/Toyota raffle.
It's time. Time for the pro to get everything for the entire job, all from one partner. To get access to over 3 million products, including many products you won't find in our stores. It's time to get delivery on your schedule or next day on over 50,000 products. And time to get dedicated support on the job site or in our stores. From ordering to planning, we've got you. One partner, any job, all in. Ask about all we can now do at the Pro Desk. The Home Depot Pro, it's about time.
Millions of fans agree. This Christmas tradition rocks. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, live in concert, presenting The Ghosts of Christmas Eve, the best of TSO and more. November 30th, 2 shows, 3 and 7:30 p.m. PHX Arena. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, presented by 100.7 KSLX.
Stay at the heart of it all with a special Cliff Castle room rate starting at just $99 with no resort fees. Less fees mean more ways to choose your next adventure at the gateway to the region's best gaming, entertainment, and natural wonders. And expect service from the heart as well. We think you'll love your stay with us and all the value we provide, starting at just $99 with no added fees. Cliff Castle Casino Hotel, at the heart of it all. Valid Sunday through Thursday. Some restrictions apply. An enterprise of the Yavapai Apache Nation.
Hey, Mr. C, it's me. Well, I just picked up the ring. I actually went to Hellsberg. Thanks for that recommendation. Kate's gonna love that hers is from the same jeweler you got Mrs. C's ring from. They were so helpful throughout the whole process. They even knew your family by name. And the ring looks great. Anyways, I just couldn't wait to let you guys know. Call me back and wish me luck.
Hellsberg, designed with care and craft since 1915. Shop in store or at hellsberg.com.
Right now at Scottsdale Mitsubishi, you can receive 0% APR for 60 full months on all new 2025 Mitsubishi models. You heard right. 0% APR for 60 months.
Think how much you'll save when you pay no interest.
The name, remember? Scottsdale Mitsubishi. Scottsdale Mitsubishi.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
Number 2 of the lunch break here on KDOS AM 1060. Kayla Mortellaro filling in for Chris Schubert, who's continuing to enjoy his honeymoon. Evan behind the glass, making sure that you can hear and see us on KDOS AM 1060, as well as with our KDOS AM 1060 YouTube channel. We'll make room for John McKechnie around 12:15, 12:20 or so today from rotowire.com to try to help us with our fantasy football team. I certainly need some help with mine. I was feeling really good on Thursday after Cam Scadaboo went off and had 31 points. And then a couple of my guys on Sunday combined for 31 points. So not off to a good situation there. So we'll see if John can help us moving forward. But something that came into my head is, as we're now 6 weeks through the season, we kind of see how teams are. You kind of start to take shape as to your identity of a team. There's injuries that pop up, direction of the team, whether or not you're going to be a seller or a buyer. I know the trade deadline usually isn't, as wild and crazy as other trade deadlines, but we have seen some big ones here recently. So I thought to myself here, well, why don't we take a look and see what might be happening on the horizon with the NFL trade deadline that is upcoming on November 4th. So it's here before we know it. Cody Benjamin of CBSSports.com put together his list of 10 NFL trades that should happen before the deadline. So thought we could kind of go through some of those, dissect it, and agree or disagree on it. His first one here is Alvin Kamara to the Chiefs. The Chiefs' run game, though, is not great. The leading rusher is Patrick Mahomes with 38 carries for 222 yards. You have Isaiah Pacheco with 51 carries, 214. Kareem Hunt, 49 carries and 187 yards. Kamara, conversely, has 83 carries for 314 yards on a season. We know he's a very good pass catcher coming out of the backfield, which would seemingly work great in an Andy Reid type offense here. When it comes, though, to Alvin Kamara and the fit with the Saints, obviously they are just a one-win football team. Does he want to maybe go to a team that has the opportunity to contend, as this is clearly a rebuilding situation? I'm curious, though. Xavier Worthy is expected to come back. Does having him return open things up in the pass game, which then kind of open things up in the run game? As so that it's not just having to be Patrick Mahomes carrying the load, running the football as well. I'd be curious about this. I don't know that this has to be a must-have trade. It's certainly an interesting one, though, that caught my attention.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting because the NFL is in an interesting spot this year. That doesn't it feel like so many teams are in the middle?
Yes.
Like more than ever. And, you look at the power rankings, and we'll get into those tomorrow for us, but there's teams all over the place. So, New Orleans is probably going to trade somebody. The Titans are going to look to move somebody. There's only a few more teams where, the Giants, are they really going to trade somebody and not get talent back? They could make a move and try and go get a receiver for the young quarterback with Neighbors out, but move one of their pieces up front. There's so many teams that may do the old buy and sell kind of strategy. It's just a really weird spot in the NFL. Who is actually going to address positions, and then what teams are they going to approach and say, hey, are you willing to trade X? Because I don't know who's actually willing.
Right. It is interesting. I do like when you come to mind about teams that I think immediately might be interested in selling. Another team is the Dolphins. I think that whole team is going to be up in flames as to what we currently know it as. I'm actually really surprised that Mike McDaniel has lasted this long at this point. So there are some pieces there that they could move on from and kind of start fresh, if you will. The Titans are another one that come to mind immediately as in that selling type mode. But then there's some other teams that, like a Giants, like you talk about, I think they would probably want to try to get a wide receiver who can stretch the field for Jackson Dart and to see what that could potentially look like, because you have a player like Neighbors who's out, though, but you're very limited now in that wide receiver core because of those injuries that have piled up.
Yeah, and for the Giants, there are options out there, right? Like, I saw a rumor the other day are the Niners looking for some pass rush help with Bosa out? Could they want to move Juwan Jennings and try and get some pass rush help in that room? That'd be kind of a crazy blockbuster deal, a weird one for both teams. We talk about this CBS Sports article, and they bring up Raheed Shaheed, talking about stretching the field like you had mentioned there. He's a guy that can take the top off. I imagine they'll probably move Chris Olave as well, right? So that's another name they could be interested in. It is kind of really interesting. Like, are the Saints going to go through a full fire sale? Like, that's a real question. You have an aging Alvin Kamara. You have a guy in Raheed Shaheed who is going to draw interest because teams need receivers. Chris Olave, who has had major injury problems throughout his career, and that's a real concern. And can you compete with him in the next few years? Are they going to trade all three pieces? Probably not, but could it be two? Certainly. So that's going to be a team people are calling.
Well, the Saints are an interesting one because Spencer Rattler actually hasn't looked too bad.
I was just about to say that. They're 1-5. Spencer Rattler has not been horrible. Like,
No.
If they ran him out there next year again and drafted a young guy and wanted to have him learn, and you ran Spencer Rattler out there, it wouldn't be crazy. Like, it wouldn't be insane because he hasn't looked that bad. The problem is that team needs so much help. They really need a lot of talent. And so is one quarterback going to be the answer? Probably not.
Right. And to that point, if you want to try to still get something for Alvin Kamara at his particular age, if you are looking at that wide receiver core, Shaheed isn't going to be an unrestricted free agent. But if you are the Saints, do you have to weigh Olave is typically hurt all the time, Shaheed is not? Do you try to factor some of that in there when you're figuring out what wide receiver you may want to put on the trading block?
Yeah, I think that certainly comes to mind, especially for a team that is building, right? Like, you're not in a position where you take the flyer on the better football player because if he does play, it's a plus. That's not the position they're in. They're rebuilding for the future, and I think Raheed Shaheed, if he stays on the field more, could be that answer. I also think you probably could get more for a Chris Olave, which is an important factor here. There's a lot of factors that are going to play into this, really. It'll be interesting to see what the Giants want and what maybe the Bills want if they want a receiver.
They need some receiver help,
right?
for
Like, they
sure.
need some receiver help. Who else could add one? There's just a lot of names that could add a receiver, and who's going to be, the Panthers may call. They're 3-3 and probably could use a secondary receiver. They may call. What are they looking for? What are these teams willing to give up? If you can get something more for Chris Olave, I think that's the direction they'll go. But if a team wants Raheed Shaheed to extend the field, they're just going to go best package. I really do believe that.
Well, you talked about the receiving core and the Panthers. In this article from Cody Benjamin, he touched on Jacoby Myers as being somebody that would be an interesting fit with the Panthers because, one, you had Jacoby who asked for a trade before the season got started. It wasn't granted, but where the Raiders currently are in their season, he's going to be a free agent. So Maybe you need some help from McMillan there. He can be like a possession kind of guy, like fill in the role of a veteran wide receiver to be able to help that young core. Because as you said, somehow, some way, Panthers are sitting here at 3-3. So maybe they're having internal conversations about, oh, well, this season is going in a different direction than we thought.
Yeah, that's the difference for the Panthers is you have Bryce, who has kind of had this roller coaster season, right? Where there are some games that look great and some games that look really bad.
But your ability, that's like possession to possession.
But your ability to run the ball has been such a plus. I mean, what they've done with Rico Dowdle has been huge over the last 2 weeks. It's the reason they're 3-3. And then you talk about the defense has given up so many points. So if you are going to make a move at the deadline, is it going to be for a receiver? I know you want to give Bryce some help, but Teteroa McMillan is kind of stepping in and being an awesome, awesome answer. Your first round pick. There's a reason you took him in the top 10. Are you going to add a receiver? Are you going to get defensive help, which you need desperately? This offense, honestly, hasn't been the problem. And I know they played the Cowboys last week, but they're giving up so many points, and that's been kind of the bigger issue for them. So what is their answer? There's so many question marks about so many different teams because you look at the Panthers, they scored 13 against the Patriots. But other than that, we're talking about in their last 4 games, they dropped 30 on the Falcons, 27 on the Dolphins, and 30 on the Cowboys. That's not an offensive problem at all.
No, I mean, I would caution a little bit just because everybody scores on the Cowboys and the Dolphins are kind of a mess right now. But you still have to not make errors. You have to not make self-inflicted wounds, and the Panthers are finding ways to win some games, which is helpful when you're trying to build what they need to do to move forward if they're going to move forward with a Bryce Young as their quarterback of the future. This one on Cody Benjamin's list here, I think is a no-brainer, and it needs to happen. Breece Hall to the Chargers. You have Marion Hampton on IR with the ankle injury. I mean, Kamani Vidal was pretty darn good against the Dolphins, but again, I'm going to caution it because it's the Dolphins here. 18 carries for 124 yards. Breece Hall is in an offense that seemingly set offenses back 100 years last week in London, but he's still been really good. 88 carries, 410 yards, and there's no doubt he wants out of New York. So why not go to a Chargers team that is right there in the thick of things, has a chance to win some games, and it's an area of need right now.
Nobody thought the Jets were going to be great this year. The one thing people thought they would be really good at is running the football. And it just hasn't really turned out that way. And for the Chargers in their first few weeks, they were throwing it more than any team in football. We know through the history of Jim Harbaugh, that's probably not what they want to do.
No.
They do have Justin Herbert, so they have the ability to do it, but they're a team that's going to want to run the football. And with Omarion Hampton out for what is going to be a long piece of time, that is a huge hole to fill for the Chargers, whether it's Breece Hall or a different back. You certainly think they're going to be running back searching here because you're looking at the Chiefs and saying they're 3-3. And we have a position where we can get back into the driver's seat here. They're a division leader. You know, you look around the AFC and you feel like it's 2011 because I get it. It's Steelers, Patriots, Chargers, like a lot of Colts, right? It feels like it's Manning, Brady, Roethlisberger, Rivers, but the Chargers are in a position where this is your year to win the division.
Yeah.
Right? Like the Chiefs are not great. And I know they're everybody's current pick because they've won a few games in the last couple of weeks and they looked good this week and they beat the Lions, and I get it all. But they're still 3-3. They have the same record as the Panthers. Like that, it's not jump to conclusions here. And if you're the Chargers, you already beat them. So you have the tiebreaker. You just need to stay in the driver's seat.
No, and I do think that Breece Hall's services are probably going to be wanted from a lot of different teams that are running back needy. So it could be interesting here, but I think that would be a really good fit for Breece Hall with the Chargers. The other one that I'm going to get to here before we step aside is interesting. Mark Andrews to the Commanders was on his list, Cody Benjamin of CBSSports.com. Would the Ravens, first of all, be willing to give up on the season? We know they're 1-5. John Harbaugh, that doesn't really seem to be like in his nature necessarily here. Lamar Jackson supposedly coming back maybe after the bye week. But it does seem like in general, when you look at that tight end room, Mark Andrews has been the staple for the Ravens offense for so long, but the emergence of Isaiah Likely over the last couple of years, are they okay with moving on from Andrews because Likely has emerged in the capacity that he has? And for the Commanders, they have so many injuries on the offensive side of the ball. We chronicled it yesterday following their Monday night loss and talking about how, a Terry McLaurin needs to come back and healthy. Has Deebo Samuel really been the kind of guy that they need for Jaden Daniels? Zach Ertz is a very good veteran tight end. Mark Andrews would also be a veteran tight end, but a little bit younger. So is that something that would make a lot of sense for you to see Mark Andrews in a Commander's uniform?
It's an interesting deal, and I was just kind of thinking about it in my head because are the Ravens really willing to trade Mark Andrews, right? Like, how bad does this thing have to get for them to say, okay, we are gonna move on from 2025? Is that gonna happen in the next 3 weeks? I mean, I think they would have to lose all three, in all honesty, or go 1-2, and that's a possibility because that defense is really bad.
Yeah.
For the Commanders, who Zach Ertz has been kind of a revelation, realized late to save his career in Washington, where he's been really good for Jaden Daniels and been kind of a safety blanket. So we know Jaden likes throwing to the tight ends because he does it with Zach Ertz. Mark Andrews feels like he'd be a great fit in Washington. It's just whether these two teams can get it done. What do the Ravens want for an aging Mark Andrews? How good or how much does he have left in the tank? And for Washington, what are you willing to give up? Because are you really going to get older? You have one of the older rosters in football, and I know you're in win now mode, but at some point, are you going to be willing to continue to move on from your picks and continue to get older? So there's major questions from both teams. It feels like a really good fit for the Commanders. Are they going to be willing to pay the price that I think the Ravens may ask? That's to be determined.
Probably not when it comes down to that particular question. And I think the other question you posed was a really good one, whether or not the Ravens are ready to say we're done with this era of our football team. Mark Andrews is moving on and we're going in a different direction because the season is over. We're throwing in the towel. On the other side of the break, though, we'll get some fantasy football help from John McKechnie of RotoWire.com. It is the lunch break right here on KDUS AM 1060.
It's the Dan Patrick Show.
Ben DiNucci, NFL quarterback. I'm still going to introduce you as NFL quarterback. Being on the practice squad, what's the difference in how you're treated, lifestyle?
Honestly, nothing's different. I mean, there's 53 guys on the active roster and there's 16 on the practice squad. And the reality of the NFL is that guys are going to get hurt. There's a reason that these teams put a lot of effort into the practice squad, just like they do the active roster. It's really all the same. You're still traveling with the team. The pay cut's a little bit less, but at the end of the day, it's still great.
Live Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. right here on KTUS AM 1060 and the KTUS 1060 app.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. I am quite aware of the dangers being on the road. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. These families' lives will be changed in an instant. We fight for these families as if they were our own. We've become America's largest injury law firm by winning cases just like these. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Savor the flavor.
Del Dorado chicken.
Del, yeah.
And that concludes my presentation on what I'd like for dinner.
Wow, that was something.
Thank you.
But honestly, you had me at Del Taco.
Del Taco's new Del Dorado chicken packs layers on layers of flavor with premium ingredients like our new salsa roja, spicy jack cheese, and freshly grilled marinated chicken. Del Dorado chicken, only at Del Taco.
Del
Price and participation may vary.
Sticks. The hits. Live at Celebrity Theater. Friday and Saturday, January 9th and 10th. With special guest Max Gomez. Tickets on sale now at celebritytheater.com. A trip through all their best. Don't miss Sticks Live. Produced by Danny Zalisco Presents.
The Kia Fall Sales Event is going on now at Mark Kia in Scottsdale. Right now, receive 0% APR for up to 72 months on a brand new 2025 Kia EV6. You heard right, 0%.
And if you're thinking about selling or trading your current vehicle, please give us a call. Our data shows that 9 out of 10 times we offer more. Don't cost yourself $1,000 or more by not making that simple phone call.
The name to remember, Mark Kia, Mark Kia.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. 6 weeks into the NFL season, and one thing is clear, we don't have a great team. The parity this year is striking. Every time a team looks ready to take the mantle as the NFL's alpha, they stumble. The Bills, fresh off a shocking loss to the Falcons, and the Lions knocked off by the Chiefs Sunday night. The Ravens, once a trendy Super Bowl pick, are 1-5. Even the Philadelphia Eagles look like they've lost their identity. Even the 5-1 Buccaneers are doing it with duct tape. No Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Emeka Ibuka, all banged up. This is what makes the NFL so great. None of the elite franchises feel safe. No powerhouse feels inevitable. Every Sunday feels like chaos. And right now, there's no clear-cut favorite. The NFL is wide open this season, and all that's left to see is which team finally seizes control of the season, defined by balance and unpredictability, which is what the NFL wants. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.
High-quality meat, unbeatable freshness, and a family-style commitment to care. That's the Heartland difference. Heartland Steak Co. is your go-to source for premium Midwest meats, delivered straight to your door. Whether you're hosting a backyard barbecue, planning weeknight dinners, or giving someone the gift of Midwest flavor, Heartland Steak Co. is perfect for any occasion. Hand-cut and hand-picked from the Heartland, our premium selection includes USDA Prime and Choice beef, all-natural pork, chicken, and more. Save time and money with easy online ordering and expertly assembled specials, grill master packages, freezer-filled bundles, holiday gift boxes, all flash frozen for peak freshness. Go to heartlandsteakco.com, get 2 ribeyes with a purchase of $150 or more. Use code FOOTBALL25. Heartland Steak Co., your one-stop shop for straight-to-your-door Midwest meat. Taste the Heartland difference at heartlandsteakco.com. Again, use code FOOTBALL25 to get 2 ribeyes with a purchase of $150 or more.
KDUS AM 1060 is your home for the Jim Rome Show.
Even if Troy Aikman pretty much said the NFL product sucked last night, he's not wrong. I thought this was supposed to be a brand new Jets. They're more dysfunctional and more undisciplined than ever. You know what would actually be brand new for the Jets? A new head coach starting 0-5. That has never happened, but it looks like there's a very good chance it's about to happen.
The Jim Rome Show, 1 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Welcome back to the lunch break right here on KDUS AM 1060. As always, follow along with the KDUS 1060 app as well as on the YouTube channel, KDUS AM 1060. But we're popping on out to the hotline to be joined by John McKechnie, rotowire.com. John, appreciate you taking some time once again to try to help us with our fantasy football teams. How are you?
Absolutely. I'm doing well. Excited to chop it up. We got a tricky week ahead. No Ravens, no Bills. We got a ton of injuries that are, making all these players that we may or may not have really heard of too much before this past weekend, now that they become important pieces for week 7.
Yeah, you mentioned that there with the injuries here. So let's talk about someone who maybe benefited from a previous injury. Ladd McConkey had a huge game for the Chargers because of that injury with Quentin Johnston, maybe was getting more targets here. So is Ladd worth a play a second time or picking him up if you haven't had him on your roster?
I think so. I think that there was a pretty substantial overreaction in the fantasy community for how the first month of the season went. And obviously, if you drafted Ladd McConkey in the early 3rd round, you're still not really having profited off of that. But I think last week was a necessary thing for the Chargers to really get him going. I still believe that he is the best, most talented player on that offense, especially with Amari and Hampton being sidelined. Last week was a uniquely good setup going up against the Dolphins. But, this week against Indianapolis, the Chargers are favored. They are at home. I still feel like Ladd McConkey for this week absolutely should be in your lineups if you've got him on your roster.
I'm going to stay with the Chargers in running back situation. Kamani Vidal is the one who, shined for the Chargers here. So is he worth picking up here knowing about the injury situation?
Yes. So Hampton's going to be out for a little bit. And, in some cases, you're picking up an injury replacement and you're just hoping to get one good week. But I think going into the Miami game, the community seemed to be pretty split between Vidal and Haskins as to who was going to kind of handle that workload in Hampton's absence. And we got a pretty definite answer as far as Vidal is concerned. So if he's still kicking around on your waivers here on Wednesday afternoon, you can run, don't walk to go ahead and scoop him. He's a running back too for us this week. I think that he's a very strong play. And additionally, with Hampton being out for at least 2 more games beyond Sunday, he's someone that you can be plugging into your flex for this next little stretch run here while you're probably going to have to be dealing with not only injuries, but a significant amount of bye weeks. So Vidal, he absolutely has a pulse. It's his second year in that system there. Really didn't get to do a whole lot as a rookie, so he was a little bit unproven. But if you look back at his college track record, he was fully capable of handling the workload at Troy. I think he showed last Sunday. Again, probably the best matchup that he's going to get going up against the Dolphins. Indianapolis much tougher, but still a startable guy in Vidal.
John McKechnie, rotowire.com here on KDOS AM 1060. I'll stick with the running backs here, but the theme, Dallas being so bad on defense and so bad against the run here. So is it Krosky Merritt for the Commanders that is going to be getting the workload?
I'm hoping so. Monday and the last 2 weeks have concerned me a little bit. Krosky Merritt had the great game against the Chargers, of course, but he did have a fumble in that game, and we saw another fumble this past week on Monday Night Football against Chicago. And obviously, he's a rookie, and Washington lost that game. You're never that far from the doghouse, especially when you're a 7th-round guy like Krosky Merritt, and there's someone like Chris Rodriguez who can basically do all the same things that Krosky Merritt can do. That's a bit concerning to me. So you're a little bit worried about that, but still, I feel like in leagues where I do have Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, I am going to start him this week. I think the matchup is about as good as you're going to do here, going up against that Dallas defense that just got completely churned out by Carolina last week, and specifically by Rico Dowdle. The Washington run game projects extremely well here. Even if Krosky Merritt maybe doesn't get like the 20 carries that maybe we were kind of hoping for after that Chargers game, I still think he leads this backfield. And again, on a per carry basis, I think this is a great setup for JCM.
With the injury to Emeka Egbuka, Cameron Johnson might have to step up more for the Bucks, or even Tez Johnson for that matter. But when you're looking at the Lions, who are the Buccaneers' opponent here, who have such a depleted secondary right now, what direction do you go if you want to try to take advantage of Baker's connection with everybody right now?
Right, so they really are patching it together, and we don't have any of these Tampa Bay guys ranked particularly high as receivers for this week. Again, considering that, Egbuka, Godwin, Evans all out or not looking like they're going to be able to go this week. So like you said, it's Sterling Shepard, Tez Johnson and Cameron Johnson. I know Cam Johnson had maybe the most impressive stat line of these guys last week, but I'm the most interested in Tez. He's the Tampa Bay Buccaneer that I was able to pick up the most when waivers ran this week. He sort of reminds me, this will work for the listeners down there in Arizona. Like, he's sort of like Greg Dortch, but a little bit supercharged. He was a great player at Oregon. He's a small guy. Like, you're not going to see him, pile up like 10, 15 targets or anything like that. But I do think there's going to be a couple instances in this game against Detroit where Tez Johnson, his quickness, his speed, his ability to get down the field is going to be something that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be interested in testing out, especially against a pretty beleaguered Detroit secondary. So Tez is my guy. And then additionally, I think the tight end here, Cade Otton, is really an interesting play. He might be the best overall pickup that you could have from the Buccaneers offense for this week if he's still floating around in your league, because he saw 6 targets last week. We saw a stretch last year where the Buccaneers were a little bit shorthanded on pass catchers. Baker Mayfield had no problem feeding him targets. So you're not expecting, tight end, like Tucker Kraft or Trey McBride type of production from Cade Otton, but I still think he's very, very much startable, even in 10-team leagues.
So the Chiefs are actually getting someone back in Rashee Rice, expected back from suspension here. So if you had picked him up early, stashed him away with the anticipation of him returning, is it now time to play him?
I think you go right back to it. Absolutely. And what a soft landing, right? Getting to play against the Raiders as 12-point favorites. This just sounds like trouble for the Raiders. And of course, yeah, if you had the stomach and the ability to hang on to Rice through the first 6 weeks of the season, now's the time to go. I do think that the kind of second order effect is what happens to guys like Hollywood Brown and Tyquan Thornton, who were, pretty solid, at the very least, fantasy contributors through the early portion of the season. But now you have a fully healthy Rashee Rice, a fully healthy Xavier Worthy, and then Travis Kelce is still going to be drawing a fair amount of targets as well. So it's going to be kind of scraps left over for your Hollywood Brown and Tyquan Thornton teams. I just think that Rice is going to come back in, and I think it's kind of an important detail that he was suspended, not coming off of an injury necessarily. So, he's been long since recovered from that injury. So I feel like it's wheels up for Rashee Rice this week. And again, soft matchup. He may not play like the most snaps he's going to play all year. I think that we can still expect more from him no matter what he does this week. But this week, I think he ranks to me as a very strong green light to start.
Jackson Dart, he was only active in less than 10% of leagues last week. He had the big Thursday night game, an extended period of time off now here before they play, but they're playing the Broncos defense, which has just been unbelievable so far through the first 6 weeks of the season here. So is Jackson Dart still a no play?
Dart is a no play for me in one quarterback leagues, or you'd have to be in a pretty deep league to be going to that particular well. But I'm sure there's a decent amount of listeners that play in like the 2 quarterback or the super flex leagues. And I do think that Dart fits as an option there in those type of formats where you can, start 2 quarterbacks or use a quarterback in one of your flex spots. You're probably not expecting like his best week, of course, like you said, with the really tough matchup and it being on the road too. He obviously struggled on the road against the Saints. Is 2 good games so far out of 3 have both been in the Meadowlands. So we got to see Dart be able to kind of take the show on the road. And then, of course, Denver, that secondary in particular is particularly suffocating, and there's no Malik Neighbors to challenge them, back them up off the line, that type of thing. So I'm expecting Dart to be able to give you just enough as far as the rushing upside is concerned. But if you're starting him, you kind of need a rushing touchdown mixed into this performance in order for him to really kind of make you look like a smart person for throwing him in there this week. And again, 1 quarterback leagues, you're leaving him by the wayside.
John McKechnie here on KDOS AM 1060 from rotowire.com. So 2 weeks ago, it was Stephon Diggs with a big game. Yeah, it was a revenge game going into Buffalo. This week, it was Kayshon Boutte for the Patriots here. Now they're going and facing a Titans team that has just fired their head coach. What do you do? How do you figure out what Patriots wide receivers to play to take advantage of how efficient and effective Drake May has been?
Well, it's like one of those good problems to have, but occasionally it cuts the other way. Like I think that when you're talking about a pass catcher who gets a ton of snaps in an offense and he's attached to Drake May, like that's someone that you're going to be interested in starting. I think Diggs is the most steady presence in that New England passing game. I think that he's the one that's going to kind of lead them in targets every single week. Hunter Henry at the tight end position is also going to be a guy that, draws 4 or 5 targets on a given week. Butte is a lot more high variance, like between him and Demario Douglas. I think like the week prior, Demario Douglas had a touchdown, if I'm remembering correctly, and then Butte had the big game last week. So it does seem to go back and forth. Butte's had a couple really strong games here to start the season. And again, this is an offense that is just continues to be on its way up as Drake May continues to take step forwards. So ultimately, I would rank it Diggs and then a decent drop off. And then Kayshon Boutte, I think I'd be comfortable using him in the flex again if I'm kind of pinched for other options. If I had a bunch of exposure to, say, that like the Buccaneers receiving core, if I had Puka Nacua that I was looking forward to start, and it's looking a little bit shaky for him this week, I think that Boutte is a workable option in those type of setups.
Is coming here locally, Marvin Harrison Jr. We'll find out a little bit later today probably what his designation is in terms of what he did or did not do in a Wednesday practice. But he left early on a Sunday with a concussion here. He may not play. Kyler Murray may or may not play as well. When we saw Jacoby Brissett step in and get other wide receivers involved like Zay Jones, Michael Wilson, but specifically Zay Jones putting up some big numbers. So if it's possible to be a Brissett no Marvin Harrison game, is Zay Jones worth picking up in a scenario?
I think so. Again, it's going to be subjective to your roster and who your other options are. For transparency, we have Zay Jones ranked as like wide receiver 70 right now on the week. So we're talking about leagues where you have 12 to 14 teams. Maybe you start 4 receivers in that league, that type of thing, to where Jones gets on the radar. But I think Harrison's status will move the needle one way or the other. If Harrison is out, I think that Zay Jones becomes like a top 50, maybe a top 40 type of receiver. So like a fringe wide receiver 3 at best. It's going to be hard to replicate exactly what happened last week. I think that was one of the more kind of surprisingly impressive performances with everything working against Arizona last week, personnel wise, for them to really push Indianapolis to the brink like that with Jacoby Brissett. Super impressive. I thought I had Indianapolis in Survivor. I was sweating that one out all afternoon on Sunday. But a long way of saying I do think that Zay Jones would be that next Cardinal to step up and claim. I think Michael Wilson is kind of just like a static presence for me. Like he's going to run his routes, but he just doesn't really draw targets at a high enough rate to me. Whereas Zay Jones, I think, is someone that does kind of move the needle in that sense when he's on the field. And again, of course, if Harrison is not.
You started this conversation with the Bills and the Ravens on a bye this week. So Josh Allen, James Cook, maybe even a Dalton Kincaid are must keeps through the bye week. Anyone else stick out to you as a must keep on their bye?
Let's see. I mean, on the Ravens side, you're going to get Lamar Jackson back, it looks like, on the other side of the bye week, and Derrick Henry hanging on to Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews. One guy that I'll put on your radar for waivers come next week, or as a sneaky ad if you do have someone to stash. I do feel like DeAndre Hopkins has looked really good this year. He hasn't really gotten enough playing time, but his playing time did tick up a decent bit this past Sunday. I'm kind of looking at him as someone whose role kind of progresses over the course of the season. The Ravens are in desperation mode right now with the way that their season has started. They're going to need to reconfigure some things as far as that offense goes. And the way that like Rashad Bateman or Tylan Wallace have played, where they're giving the Ravens next to nothing, whereas Hopkins has been completely dynamic on a per target basis, like 15 yards per target, would not shock me to see Hopkins kind of take on a bigger role in this offense opposite Zay Flowers. So keep that in mind for pickups for next week, that, maybe he's not a priority pickup, anything like that. We still need to see him play, a bigger snap share, but it would not surprise me if Baltimore is changing things around a lot over the bye week and Hopkins ends up benefiting.
John, it's been a fun couple of weeks catching back up with you. I appreciate it. And where can people find your work to continue on following you for the rest of the season?
Absolutely. Always love coming on and talking ball with you guys out in Arizona. And you can find me over on RotoWire. I write a DraftKings college football article that runs up for free on the site. So if you just type in college football DFS RotoWire, into Google, you will find me. And I've also started a side project. It's called the College Football Tailgate. It's a college football podcast. You can find us anywhere that you listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple, that type of thing. And we're also on TikTok at CFB Tailgate. So if you're so inclined on the college side, I got you covered.
Awesome. I appreciate it as always, John. Have a great rest of the day.
All right. Appreciate that very much, Kayla. Thanks again.
You're welcome. Once again, he is John McKechnie from rotowire.com helping us with some fantasy football. We'll step aside, though, here on the lunch break on KDUS AM 1060.
Join in on the Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Beerstein.
For everyone out there, Jacoby Brissett is not the answer because he's had games like that before where he's shown you that he could be a very capable quarterback. He's never been able to do it for a season and lead a team to any meaningful playoffs. So while it looked good, Cardinal fans, it's still not the answer. It just shows you how good it could be maybe if Kyler Murray could play better or just different play calls, I guess, can be made.
Live weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Hello, everybody.
Gary, why are you wearing a...
Hold on, Ron. Every time Gary walks in here wearing some goofy costume, you always say, Gary, why are you wearing that?
Yeah, but...
And then it turns into some long-winded story about Alaskifications.
Yeah, but...
Then Gary says something ridiculous.
Yeah, but...
And you agree that an Alaskification before winter is the best way to prepare for cold weather.
Yeah, but...
And how Alaskan AC guarantees no breakdowns.
Yeah, but...
And all it does is encourage Gary to walk around wearing a stupid-looking ski mask that no person in his right mind would get caught dead wearing.
Yeah, but he's wearing my ski mask.
Keeping my head protected, just like the Alaskification protects your heater.
My ski mask isn't stupid looking.
Look who's wearing it.
I choose to ignore that remark.
Because you know another one is coming.
Take off that stupid ski mask.
See?
And that's why you should schedule your Alaskification today.
What did we accomplish here?
I'm not sure, but today is a good day to Alaskify. Schedule now at alaskanac.com.
Hi, I'm Dustin, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. I know finding a dream engagement ring can be overwhelming, but don't worry, we got you. As director of diamond sourcing, it's my job to make sure every single diamond at Shane Company is truly the best of the best. Our team travels the world to see diamonds up close, in person. We handpick each one for its unique fire, brilliance, and scintillation. Diamond buying is an art. Of course, we look at cut, color, clarity, and carat, known as the 4 C's, but that's not all. We also look at how each diamond looks on a hand, where it will be worn, how it makes you feel, and if it's worthy of a Shane Company customer. That type of expertise only comes from working for a company that's been a family business since 1929. We also think about your budget. We only pick the best in each grade in all shapes and sizes. Your diamond is guaranteed to be the most beautiful because a friend wants you to pick from only the best. Drop by your store or shaneco.com and see for yourself. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Nitro Circus is back with the all-new Off the Rails Tour. World-class daredevils and FMX, BMX, skate, scooter, and more. Jaw-dropping stunts, high-flying tricks, and never-been-done showdowns. Friday, December 5th, Desert Diamond Arena. Visit Ticketmaster.com.
Don't miss out on fun for the entire family at Tomachaw Farms Pumpkin Days and Corn Maze, located in the West Valley. Bring the little ones to explore the Great Big Pumpkin Patch, Family Corn Maze, and Petting Zoo, located at 75th Avenue and Bethany Home Road. Fun for all ages.
AZ Field of Screams, Arizona's most spine-chilling haunted corn maze, where nightmares become a reality. Do you dare enter? Experience the thrill at azfieldofscreams.com.
This fall, choose Primavera Online, and you'll be choosing a school with flexibility, personalized support, and an award-winning curriculum that's over 20 years strong. Now enrolling grades K-12 at chooseprimavera.com.
Ready to tackle each morning with the best sports information coming at you?
I'm going to take a logical approach.
Get that weekday mornings on KDUS AM 1060 from 6 to 9 a.m. with the Dan Patrick Show. Dan Patrick, the Danettes, sports icons, sports legends, celebrities, poll questions. The Dan Patrick Show has it all.
It's a crapshoot.
Be sure to lock your dials to AM 1060 or 100.7 HD2 from 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings just got better.
This story is about us.
Welcome back to the lunch break right here on KDUS AM 1060. Kayla Mortellaro filling in for Chris Schubert, who is off enjoying his honeymoon. Evan behind the glass as we are now diving into our top 5 quarterbacks through 6 weeks. We did this last week, so I thought we would continue on this week here. And why don't you get us started this time, Evan?
All right, I'm batting leadoff.
Yeah.
I like it. Mixing it up. And we do have some mix-ups on my list this week.
Excellent.
I actually think it's going to be crazy, but I went with a little bit of a curveball.
Okay.
At the point of the list. Are we going to go 1-1-1-1?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. My number 5 on the list, Sam Darnold, who to me has just been playing really good football. And I didn't know how it would look in Seattle after working with Kevin O'Connell last year, after what was a really tough last regular season game, really tough playoff game. But he's come out, he's been great. He's been great for Seattle, a huge reason they have been good to start the season. And Sam Darnold, number 5 on my list.
I concur about Sam Darnold, and he's a little bit later on in my list because I have number 5. You're probably not going to like this one, but I have number 5 at Josh Allen. I get it. It's 2 straight losses. We shouldn't just overreact about how good he is, but this was just jarring to me for this standpoint that the Falcons blitzed Allen more than any team since 2021 with 56% blitz rate, and it ended up being his lowest completion rate of 57.7% and 2 interceptions. Obviously, he did not have Dalton Kincaid. I think there's obviously a wide receiver, kind of a hole or a void, if you will, on this team. And then knowing and having that kind of pressure, knowing that your defense is about to give up $1 billion, that you have to go out there and put up 40 points just to kind of win some games, changes and alters what you're doing out there. So I didn't think that he needed to be dropped off the list, but he went down to number 5 for me.
I don't think that's crazy because I have Josh Allen at number 4.
Okay.
And I think it was glaring to see what Atlanta had come out and did. They saw something on tape clearly and addressed it. And to have a pressure rate that they had in that game and to continue to send pressure, and it just felt like the Bills never made an adjustment to it. And Josh really never made an adjustment to it either. Protection didn't hold up for the Bills, and it was a glaring problem. The difference is he's still the best player in the world, if you ask me. And so I have him 4 just based on how he's played this year. Gosh, if you give me one quarterback to win a football game, I still think I'm taking Josh. I'm with you. I think it was glaring issues this week on Monday Night Football.
And I will add one more thing, too. The usage of James Cook. You pay him all this money.
Sorry.
Why isn't he out there?
I can't believe, 3rd and 1 in an important situation. I have the best player on the planet and a running back that I paid all this money to, and I hand it to Elijah Moore on a jet sweep. I can't comprehend the play call. It's overthinking it. I mean, you have a quarterback, and let's just look up Josh's measurables so I'm not wrong here. I mean, he is
6'6"?
Yeah, 6'5".
Okay.
And I don't know his weight. Give me a second.
Okay. He's 6'5". I'm going to say 250?
240 pounds.
Okay.
What are we doing? Use him in the run game, please.
Seriously, there was a lot to be desired there for sure. My number 4, making his way into the top 5, is Drake May. He led all quarterbacks in week 6 with a total QBR at 92.6. He's also had 5 straight games with more than 200 yards passing and a passer rating above 100. On the season, it's a little over 1,500 yards passing, 10 touchdowns, and just 2 interceptions with a 73.2% completion percentage. And his confidence just seems to be growing and growing. And there's also a nice little landing spot for them against the Titans this week as well.
I have Drake May also on my list. And at number 3.
Okay.
Drake May has been great. Drake May has been great. And the reason the Patriots are leading that division, believe it or not. And I think the Patriots were a lot of people's quote unquote sexy pick this year, right? The pick that could make the playoffs that wasn't in it last year. There's no doubt when you get quarterback play like that, and I think a lot of it is when you have the right coach in the building. So much of the NFL is situation. And you look at May's situation last year. I mean, that was one of the worst offensive lines with some of the worst weapons, and they still need help with weapons. They added Stephon Diggs, who has had some really nice games. They went out, used a top 5 pick on Will Campbell. They addressed the positions they needed to address, and it's a big reason why that Drake May has been so efficient. That's why he's number 3 on my list.
Has there ever been an offensive coordinator who has so much success being an offensive coordinator, had a couple of different attempts at being a head coach and just failed miserably, but then goes back and be an offensive coordinator and he is just great in Josh McDaniels?
No, and I don't actually understand it because you would think if it was a situation where he became a head coach and clearly wasn't a leader in the locker room, which is a problem because he clearly is not, and the offenses looked really good and competent, though, and they were just giving up too many points, and be like, it makes sense. No, it's a complete train wreck. The offenses have been horrible. The defenses have been horrible. I mean, almost full mutinies against him. Like, I can't believe how little success he's had as a head coach, and teams continue to bring him. The Patriots continue to bring him on as an offensive coordinator, and every time it works. I don't really know. I thought it was a Bill thing. Now it's working under Vrabel. I don't really get it. I don't really understand it. It works.
It's working, and it's working for Drake May right now. So my number 3 is actually your number 5 in Sam Darnold. I guess I just think that highly of him this year and what he's been doing here. 1,500 yards, 1,541 to be exact, 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, a completion percentage of 70.8%, 8.7 completed air yards. He's pushing the ball down the field with Jackson Smith and Najigba. That connection has been really good, and I know it's not a quarterback stat, but he does have this Seahawks team at 4-2, and if it weren't for a last-second field goal against Baker Mayfield and the Bucs, it could be 5-1.
Number 2 for me, Daniel Jones. The 5-1 Indianapolis Colts. The offense has been rolling, and that defense certainly isn't the answer. They've been efficient. He threw a bad pick this week. That's really the first bad thing I've seen on tape from Daniel Jones this year. And they're 6 games in. That team's rolling. They got a real big test against the Chargers this week. They're going to win because the Chargers are wearing the grossest jerseys I've ever seen. So, so the 6-1 Colts, I'm jumping on it now. But no, Daniel Jones has been great. He's number 2 on my list. I can't believe, apparently, if you just get away from the Giants, you got a lot of success coming.
I felt terrible about this when I was doing my rankings, but I moved Daniel Jones to an honorable mention.
Oh, you did?
I did. That because this is what I did. Because the last week I had Patrick Mahomes on the list. He had a better game. I couldn't move him off. I have to move him up. So that's what happened for Danny Dimes. And, I felt bad on that one. But Patrick Mahomes here coming in at number 2. I had him at 4 last week. They keep winning games, and he's finding ways to do it and get the team there at 3-3. Now you have more weapons coming back in Xavier Worthy. This is still problematic, though, for the Chiefs' offense, is that he's leading the Chiefs in rushing yards. But I think that was kind of my thought process as to why I had him on that list in the first place last week, is that he's kind of putting everybody on his back and let's figure out how to win 3 games and keep ourselves in the conversation here as the season is not over for the Chiefs.
And I imagine we have the same number 1 here at the top of the list.
Probably.
Baker Mayfield. Yep. I mean, he's been the MVP of the league to this point. They're 5-1. He has them rolling in a 2-minute drill. Is there anybody else you'd rather have right now? And I know that sounds crazy because of the career he's had, but I mean, reinvented himself in Tampa Bay, and to this point has been the best quarterback, the best player in the National Football League.
Yeah, you're correct there. Four game-winning drives, 4 fourth-quarter comebacks, too many 4s there for me to get them all out there correctly. 1,539 yards for Baker, 12 touchdowns and just 1 interception. So he's been doing it and doing it well. I mentioned Daniel Jones as an honorable mention, and the other player that dropped out for me was Dak Prescott. I get it. The Cowboys are only in these games because of him, and I know it's not a quarterback stat, but that loss to the Panthers, I had to have him slide on out of there. We'll take a break here on the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060 and wrap up this Wednesday, October 15th edition next.
James out west.
Mike Trout became the 59th player to hit his 400th home run, the home run record holder for the Angels. I was going to quiz you. Who do you think the number 2 is on the list for all-time home runs for the Anaheim Angels?
I would assume it's Shohei Ohtani.
Nope, Tim Salmon.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
299 for Tim Salmon. Mike Trout got 101 more than the next guy.
Naming a random MLB player that had a really good career.
Yeah, dude, I loved watching Tim Salmon, bro. I'm about to cut together some Tim Salmon highlights.
Every other Monday night from 6 to 7 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060.
Global Credit Union, how can I help you?
It's one of those voice prompts.
Representative! Good morning. How can I help?
Wait, is this a real person?
It's 2 a.m.
We're here to help members 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Impossible.
At Global, possible. Learn more at globalcu.org. Global Credit Union, your world of financial possibilities.
This is Desert Diamond West Valley, where there's next level action and jackpot winning smiles all around. So get your shine on, light up the room, show us what it's all about. Join us at Rocktoberfest on Friday, October 31st, 6 p.m. to midnight for food, fun, games, and more. Get tickets at ddcaz.com. It's time to live the diamond life. Desert Diamond Casino West Valley.
An enterprise of the Donna Organization.
9 Inch Nails. Live at Desert Diamond Arena, Friday, March 6th. Get tickets now at nin.com. 9 Inch Nails. Live in Glendale. Peel It Back Tour 2026.
Doesn't it make you feel better?
At Nationwide Vision, we help you step into every moment clearly and confidently. From quality eyewear and comfortable contact lenses to comprehensive exams and professional fittings, we make finding your focus a more enjoyable experience than ever. Right now, buy one pair of glasses and get the second one free, so you can live bolder, look sharper, and see better. Schedule an appointment today to find your focus.
On your ride home from work, join in on the Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Bierstein.
If we owned our own football team called the Angry Roosters and we kept signing people to contracts, their contracts and kept demanding raises, at what point do we throw our hands up and just say no?
Welcome back to the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. Appreciate everyone listening to the program today. Looking forward to being back with you tomorrow. For Evan and Kayla, have yourselves a fantastic Wednesday.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.